thing I'm concerned about is that little drip that I see right there, other than this, for this program, that one little drop is the only thing that bothers me. This was from the original thing I did some time ago, and we actually get water bills 3 ways. Mail, over the counter, and the payments coming through electronic means. So
You talking about the receipt?
yeah, that's the receipts. In 2009, I didn't get the 2011s on here. When I was originally doing that, 43,000 and 43,000. So 2009, but the distribution changed. If you look over to the far right, 2009, 51% were mail. 2010, 53%, and they took away from over the counter. So that little bit of change. So you take those transactions and you look at them on the number of months that are involved. There was 3,620 transactions in 2009, 2010, 3569, and it took about 2.8 minutes per transaction and 2.9 minutes per transaction. This is the way your water meters, he's got 5 books and they're separated across the county in different areas, so they read one book is one area and one's another and whatever, so you basically got 5 books. And so the original thing we're trying to do was get this billing process on a 2-month bill, which I think that's really a good deal, was then and still is. On this right here, I took almost 150,000 records that I got Renee to send me 3 years of data. There's 1 month, and I don't know why, it was February of this year, was not in those records. So there's 35 months of data on this screen here. If you look, there are 271 accounts that are people like me. I'm just a sewage customer, a trash customer, so I'm one of these 271 right up here. That represents 6.74% of all of our water accounts. So then, this is the low gallons and high gallons from 0 to 1,000. Well, there's 11% of the people that fit that category. 2 to 3, 13%. 3 to 4, another 13. 4 to 5, another 12. So, and over here is the accumulation of those. So, that is 68% of the people use less than 5,000 gallons of water. 68%. And let's jump it up one more number to 10. 94% use less than 10,000 gallons. On the far right-hand column is how much their low bill will be and their high bill will be a month. Now this is just water now. This is based on the new billing rates that we just had of $3 for the incremental gallons of the base 1,000 that you use, where you're going to pay $10 if you from 0 to that. And so that's basically for 4,019 accounts. That was the average data for all of those during that period of time. So what I did, took 35 months and was averaged. What this is what I just told you. On the yellow lines, you see there's 3,770 accounts, 94%, less than 10,000 gallons. Their bill is no more than $37. Nobody of this category. Now this is what just happened. Just passed. I took all of these accounts, 4,019 accounts, which really, if you come back, you take the 271 away from it. Took your $2 rate and your $3 rate. Took the average usage of those people. Now these were 2 point, whatever, so you're rounding high and you're rounding low. So if you do it on an average, it really will balance itself out. So on the $2 rate, we would have generated $74,000. On the $3 per incremental gallon, we'll generate $91,000 based on average now. The difference between the 91 and the 74 is $17,000. You multiply that times 12 months, we would generate an incremental $205,000. That's from last year to this year. Just with the same accounts, same usage in 2010, 2012, that we're going to have in this next calendar year, if everybody uses the standard usage of what they've been doing. That represents a 23% increase, or 22.96%, or rounded to that number of 23%. Now, if you come back and you do the same thing here, let's talk about, I took the 271 out, which they're trash customers. So now you got 3,499 accounts that we're dealing with. From the low gallons, they will use 10,245,000. Yellow line next to the last column. A high usage would be 17,960,000. Well, the average usage per account, 2,928 gallons versus 5,133 on the high side. Now, so I said, well, and this is the part, the only thing that really scares me out about it, the whole thing is about leaks. What happens when you have a leak, or the customer has a leak, and it's kind of a partnership type thing that you have between the water department and the customer. If 10% of everybody that uses water was to have a leak, I wanted to know what would happen. And this is a hypothesis to a certain extent, because you can't be exactly who you isolate. But 10% of those, that's 350 accounts, you would actually have 1,024,000 or 1,796 gallons of water that's just seeped out anywhere. That's just 350 people had this problem. 10%. I talked to Timmy about that, and it's not even close to anywhere of that magnitude. So the numbers are a lot lower. I just wanted to see a wild case of what it would happen. So now let's take that, multiply and say, hey, if you have a leak, you're going to use 3 times what you normally would use. That gives you 3 million and 5 million. Well, what's that going to cost us? At $3 per M gallon. The low would be $9,221. That's the risk that we would take if 10% of everybody in the county had a water leak, and they used 3 times what the leak was. And most of the time, leaks, if you have a real leak, if it's inside your house, you're going to pretty well know it, right? Unless it's a running commode or something like that, and you still ought to be able to detect that to a certain extent. If it's in the grain, what's going to happen? You're going to have a saturation where that grain's at. So leaks are there, and what this does is, what is my expected loss, if any? And is it really a loss? No, not really. You're losing water, unless you're capturing that, or the person's paying for it, you're losing revenue. Well, the thing about it is, any of you know about leaks? I don't even know who made the comment. Sydney did. Well, believe me, I know about some leaks that took 9 months to get fixed. I would have measured them myself and took the flow rate out of the thing. So why do this? Freeing up people, getting them accountable to go get these things done and fixed. We don't want to leak that drop coming out of it. So that's the whole purpose of this whole thing, is to save money and fix our infrastructure so that we got it at tip-top shape. All right, meter reading cost. And Tim has got something here. It's costing, based on 160 hours, 4 men, with the rates and everything, it's costing $2,772 before benefits, which that's fixed cost, so it don't count. Or roughly $34,000 a year, just to read the meters, 12 times. Plus, and he told me before, and I don't know when this was, it's 561 miles of roads that they had to travel to read these meters. Well, 12 months, that's $6,732. So I just put a 20-cent per mile cost for gas, and that's very reasonable per se. And the doing that. So that would just be $1,346 for 12, or 122. So now we come up to a total cost that it's going to cost us about $2,900 to read those meters every month. Now, it don't seem like a lot, but think about the savings that you have when you have the ability to fix your infrastructure and do that. So three times a year, that only costs us $12,000 versus $35,000 for 12 months. If we would read them 8 times a year, it would cost us $23,000. I think Timmy had there, if you read them every other month, it would be 6 times. So really, that would be $18,000. And he's got something that he did when he originally, and that's what he originally proposed. This is Timmy's numbers, that reading them bi-monthly. Now, the first thing I was concentrating on this too, because I want to save money. It saves money from a billing standpoint, because you don't have to send out as many bills. If on the bi-monthly, you have that out, and I think he said that was roughly $15,000. Well, there's about $30,000 of potential savings here if we use our manpower correctly. I can't guarantee that. I do know that the billing part could happen. Now, could we go out several months? Based on what I see, yeah, very easily. Of course, he's not comfortable with that right yet, so I wouldn't push that issue. But I would definitely think that you could go out 4 to 6 months, even to the year, depending on how responsible and if the water customers themselves would sign up for that for average billing. So the proposal is this: basically, not changing the way cash flow comes in. You get a bill. It's a 2-month bill. You pay 1 month at a time. On cash flow, you pay both months, or you pay it 1 month and 1 month. Just like that. No change in cash flow, no change in anything. The only thing that changes is reading the meter. And the time of Gates, they read the meters every month, but they bill by 2 months, which I don't quite understand that. But anyhow, that's what they actually do. So according to what Freddie Smith told me, I talked to him the other day. But there's an opportunity here, just like it was in the transaction. Like I said, my first focus was on changing the paperwork process. And you talk to Renee, she's told me, at least that's what she tells me, that there's seems an improvement there. So the thing I want to see is we go after the money part of it. That's your water bill, so you change that so that you would actually have a 2-month number on that, which would be 2 equal months, no difference. When the second month comes in, because you're billing on the actual, you just took those 2 months. And you got to remember, you got your base thing, so what this amounts to is, even if you had 1 usage, you're going to pay for 2, because you're paying a 2-month base, just like easy to calculate. So, and that's the thing. What do? Do you do nothing, or do you do something? So anyhow, that's basically what that's about. I'll show you one more thing here. Get this up here a little bit. But anyhow. All right, so that's the water deal. There's potential, I'd say $25,000 to $35,000 of savings there. But you got to act on it. Don't put any burden whatsoever on the customer, other than the fact that these leaks, if you do have them, how soon do you discover them and what do you do about them? With what Ann was bringing up, I think that's a very workable program too, based on the paperwork process. It's something that we need to investigate when people are out of town and aren't using incremental dollars between periods there, that you can do that. And easy to calculate, extremely easy.